Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast. This is Bruce Hutchin, host and executive producer. Each week you will hear tips, techniques, strategies, and personal stories from some of the best and funniest whitetail hunters in North America. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you do, tell a friend on social media. If not, tell me and I'll make it better. Thanks for listening, folks. This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 424. Coming up on the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous is Tim Kjellesvik. Now, Tim is the host of the Thinking Woodsman's podcast. And the show is dedicated to help us all think about hunting, think about strategies, think about our industry, think about how we can get kids in the outdoors. So he's got a really great podcast going on. And the thing is that he's going to share today is that the outdoor industry is full of folks waiting for the next best thing. Do you really know how to set yourself apart and be successful? Because he's going to talk about what makes you saleable, makes you marketable, what makes you promotable in the outdoor industry. Tim's got a wealth of information, and I can't wait to share his story with you. Hey, folks, this is Bruce Hutchin, your host and executive producer of Whitetail Roundabout, and I'm heading out to St. Louis today, and I'm going to meet up with Tim Kjellesvik of the Thinking Woodsman's podcast. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bruce and Whitetail Rendezvous Nation, how are you?
Well, we're doing fine, and hey, thanks so much for taking time off. I know we're going to talk about collaboration later in the show, but I like doing this. I like two guys that are in the podcast space, that are in the hunting space, if you will, to get together and just to share, what the heck's going on, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and some of the challenges we have in the outdoor industry today. So welcome again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. There's definitely a lot to talk about within that.
Well, there sure is, and more time than we have allotted. But let's just start right off with your podcast, why you started, what challenges you have, and what successes you have, and what you're bringing really to your listening audience.
Yeah, so I think my listening audience consists mostly of my mom. So it's a relatively small audience right now, but we're in the growth phase. We've only been at it since February of 2016. So relatively new in the podcast space. But the reason I got in was partially because all the great bow hunting podcasts that I love to listen to kept going away. People would start them and they'd run them for a year or two, and you'd kind of get invested because that's what it is. You establish a personal relationship, or at least what feels like a personal relationship with the host, and then they stop doing it. And I thought, man, I appreciate being able to listen to interesting talk and debate about things that go on in the hunting community and the fishing community, just in the outdoors in general. But I want someone that I can count on because I'm going to invest time in this show. I want someone that's going to be there show after show for me. And so I thought, man, maybe I should start a show also and share some of my perspectives, because I think they're a little different than what I was seeing out there. And I already had a website. I already had the thinkingwoodsman.com. I was already writing, and so I already had a following and kind of a Facebook profile for it. And it just seemed to kind of fit. And besides, people are like, why don't you do a TV show? Everyone and their brother has a TV show. The market is saturated with hunting TV shows. And frankly, many of them aren't very good. And I know video is not one of my strong suits just yet. So I thought, let's do something that requires just a little bit of infrastructure, relatively easy to get started on, but I'm going to do a quality show, and I'm going to show up month after month after month. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and let's see, August 31st, it'll be my 2 years since I launched. We'll have over 440 shows or episodes released.
Make me feel lazy.
Well, no, but you got a wife, you got kids, you got a job.
Yeah,
I have a wife, and my kids are all grown up. I have grandkids now, so it's a little bit different. But the thing is, in the experiment, and I like how you said that word, the experiment is, okay, can I bring my passions for whitetail hunting over the last 51 years, and can I just share it with real people in real places? Now
Right.
I've been challenged. Let's put it that way. Hey, you don't have A-list type people, and I go, no, I don't, because I have regular people that are in the bar, or they go to
Hmm.
church, they go to work, and they come home, they watch a football game, they watch the kids, and they go deer hunting.
Wait a minute. Am I not A-list? Is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you're
I'm
good.
not.
I know you're good, but friends and
Definitely
family
not A-list level.
told me I need to get you on the show because it's just like Sam Ayers out in Hollywood, California, living country in the
Hmm.
city. I mean, what a
Yeah.
story he has! What a storyline! It's just unbelievable. He literally lives and works Hollywood and Vine, and you can't get
Well,
more city. Go ahead.
and there's a perception out there that the outdoor media celebrities are experts, and there are some guys that consistently kill big bucks that almost live a hermit style existence back in the woods. They eat, sleep, and breathe big bucks, and you don't know them other than if you actually go through big buck registries and look for their names. So so when it comes to perspective on the outdoors and how to kill a mature buck, or how to help someone have their first hunting experience, I think people just default to outdoor celebrities because their profiles are so easy to access and people know them. But many of the outdoor celebrities I know and I'm friends with would be the first to tell you they don't know it all, and a lot of times they have to rely on guides and people on the ground there wherever they end up. So I think the focus on regular people that maybe sometimes also have a regular day job, I think that's fine, and I think we need more of that.
As I like to tell people throughout during my shows, and I'll just throw it out. Whitetail Rendezvous is about real people in real places. Now, if you're A list or no list, it really doesn't matter. If you get out there and mix it
Hmm.
up with mature bucks, I'm focusing on mature bucks for you know for hunters that have been at it for a while. If you're youth, and somebody just entering, kill whatever you want to kill whatever's legal. I don't have
Yep.
any problem. But QDMA's, if you read some of their stuff from Kip Adams and Lizzie Thomas, what they put out, you think about, they've seen an incremental trend, and trends are
Hmm.
what trends are. It takes a long time to make it, a statement, if you will. But with the trends, they're seeing, 2.5 to 3.5 year old bucks are becoming more of the harvest than typically less than that. So if we let the 1.5 to 2.5 year old deer walk, then we have an opportunity to hunt a mature buck, and that's challenging. I mean, you and
Hmm.
I could go in the woods, you with a stick and string, me with my crossbow or rifle or whatever, and we could kill some deer every
Yep.
single year. There's no question I could kill multiple deer um, in multiple states if I chose to do that, or I could go and say, no, this is my framework. This is 4.5 years old or bigger. Yeah, I'd like to be 150, points, Boone and Crockett or Pope and Young,
Hmm.
and then so that's what you're looking for, and you kind of when a deer comes by, you see him, or uh, you put your glasses on him, then you go, okay, that's that's a shooter to me, whether it would be to
Sure.
you or not. But I think we're seeing more and more people start getting in that mentality because it's a challenge, it's a hunt, uh,
Hmm.
and yeah, I shoot those every year, and we put them in the freezer and make jerky and everything
I
else,
love
and
shooting does.
oh,
Yep.
just and the farmer that we hunt, Eddie, he says shoot all the does you want, and
Yep.
because they're eating his food. I mean, we have big food plots, not little ones.
Right. Right.
We have big
Well,
food plots.
you mentioned shooting does, and there's in kind of the professional hunting world, there is an unfortunate stigma about shooting does. And doggone, my family, we live off venison. We don't buy any red meat in our household year round. We're eating If it's red meat, we're eating venison. It's cost effective, it's safe, it's healthy. I can procure it myself. But I still get the jitters when I have a doe coming in and because those are wily animals. They're not there. There's no such thing as a free throw at a doe. I mean, they've been around the block, especially a big mature doe. They know what to look for, and I've been busted by does just like I've been busted by great bucks. So I wrote an article on the thinkingwoodsman.com titled um, "Who are the very best anti-hunters?" And the premise was that ourselves, we in the hunting community, tend to be the best anti-hunters because we can be so judgmental about the hunting practices of each other that if you imagine someone that's new to our heritage trying to figure things out, a little self-conscious, a little insecure, and then you have a fellow hunter give them crap because they didn't spend $1,200 on a new bow, or they shot a buck that went 120, or they don't even know what the score is. Do you think they're going to want to hang out with us anymore? Do you think they're going to want to invest in this time and the money required to chase deer? No, they're going to find something else to do. And we need as many people on board with the pro hunting agenda as possible. So kill a doe, kill a small deer, whatever's legal, whatever fits your idea of a trophy. We have to be encouraging of people to do that. Otherwise, we're looking at a at a decline in our numbers, and a decline in our numbers means a decline in our voice legislatively, which means that we will be legislated out of our constitutional rights.
Yeah, well said. Well said. In social media, we see it all the time where somebody just goes, "You shot that," and it's like, don't be stupid. That's my 2 cents. And if you're pissed off without listeners, that's okay. I'm good with that because stop it. Just
Right.
really just stop it.
Right. So I work for Mark and Terry Drury. I write for Drury Outdoors. If you've ever been to druryoutdoors.com, go to the journals tab. Anytime one of their field staff members kills something, they call me, we talk about it, and I write it up and put it in the journal. We're also working on a bow fishing Drury Outdoors segment right now. Buddies, and I work with Ray I, legendary turkey hunter. These guys have killed animals, more animals than most people have ever seen, trophy animals across the board. They're not impressed by people that hold such a high standard for others that they can't encourage others to kill a small deer. They are, out of all people, they could be the most judgmental, but they happen to be the most inviting, welcoming, encouraging of people that are just figuring this sport out. So if a Mark Drury can be welcoming and give someone an attaboy for killing a small buck, I think most of us
Yeah.
mortal whitetail hunters could do the same.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. So let's go back to your podcast and what's your goal? What's your message and vision, for your podcast?
I want to make $1 million and buy me a new bass boat.
Well, good. Good luck with that. Moving right along.
you know,
Some people
so
have. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Time out. There are people in the business, podcasting business, that make a lot of money, folks. There's no
it's
question about it.
possible.
This mere
you know,
mortal here, it ain't so much.
um, so I run with a lot of people who are not familiar with the outdoors community, and and one day one of them said they found out that I hunt, and one of them said, "Well, wait, Tim, so you hunt, but you seem smart." They couldn't keep in their head that a person could be intelligent and be a hunter, and and then they asked me, "Okay, so when you kill something, what do you do with it?" And that shocked me because it told me that there are people that, and I don't use the word ignorant in a negative way, but just to mean that they don't know the facts. There's a number of people out there that don't understand what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. And I thought, we're in real trouble if there's not someone that can speak cogently to their concerns, some of them valid, um, and their questions about what we do. So I thought, all right, well, I'm gonna start an outdoor media brand, the Thinking Woodsman, that is kind of like an apologist for the outdoors community. And when I say apologist, I mean in the classical sense, like apologetics, like you would for Christianity. You would present a case and present a defense for your position. And I'm an apologist for those of us that hunt and fish. To the people that are in the middle, to the people that don't know, weren't raised this way, don't have this mindset, aren't exposed to it, but they could have their minds changed if someone came along that was respectful and understanding, listened as much as they talked, and was willing to offer some answers to their questions. So I thought that my podcast could do that, along with augmented by my writing, my radio work, my work on television.
So 3 years from now, where do you want the podcast to be?
I don't care, and I don't say that flippantly, because the podcast to me is just a method. It's a means to an end. My mission is to bring more people into our camp. So if that means I cut the podcast tomorrow because I can do more work, I can do more effective work in television or radio or writing, then that's what I'll focus on. Now, I think that the podcast is a long-term strategy because I've seen it done, and I've committed to it, but I'm not so tied to these methods as I am the ultimate mission, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it really does. And folks, you get a couple of guys here, one guy a little younger, one guy a little more mature, but we're both after the same thing, is to bring our message, say, hey, we're going to talk to hunters about hunting. We're going to talk to the person about, the hunting tradition, all these types of subject matters. And we're going to bring that so you can listen to it and you can share it and say, hey, you need to listen to this
Yep.
non-hunter or friend at work. Just say, check this out, because this guy, Brian Ritchie from Moonstand, he really understands what how to put Moonstand up, how to put his stands up, the location and everything. Man, that's a seminar right there. That's a full article right there. And so if you do that consistently enough, and you persist, then your message gets out there. The
Right.
remuneration, as both we're supposed to do the work. We're supposed to plant the seeds and fertilize and wait and do all those things, and then the sow comes, when it comes, and it can be frustrating.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
this is, as a business model, it can be frustrating when you look at that. But wait a minute, I'm doing what I set out to do, and everything else is going to come along if I can continue to be true to myself. That's my 2 cents on it.
I've turned sponsors away, and I definitely want to be making money, and I use product in the field, but I turned sponsors away because I felt like that there wasn't good alignment in our messaging, and so I'll continue to do that. I want to have people I can trust and are genuine, and also get what I'm doing, and I'm not hitting people over the head, and I will think about things. I won't take a knee jerk reaction to something. I think there are things that we do in our hunting community that we could do better or differently. I have a video up on my YouTube channel right now. If people search for Tim KJ or the Thinking Woodsman on YouTube, they can find my channel. I've got bow fishing videos. I've got whitetail archery hunting videos. But the one that's got a lot of steam behind it right now, last I checked, it was at 52,000 views, is an anti-hunter video I posted from a January 14th whitetail hunt this past year, where we were in a rural subdivision on these kind of finger ridges back here in the foothills of the Ozarks. And these people, you got to watch it. There's no video of the actual people. It's me reacting to them. They found out we were hunting in this area, so they went out into their front yards and they started barking like dogs. These grown men and women were barking like dogs, howling, singing show tunes, whistling, turning their dogs loose in the neighborhood because they thought that they were protecting the deer and they were spoiling our hunt, which is actually illegal. It's illegal to do that. So that video is up. A lot of people are watching it. The thing I'm concerned the most with, though, about the video is not the video itself, but the comments. And I tend to let most of the comments go because I can moderate them. The comments from other hunters that are saying things like, "Well, you need to shoot their cat and skin it in front of them," or "You need to kill the deer and leave the gut pile there in their driveway," or even worse things like "shoot them," or and that's frustrating. That doesn't help us in any stretch. And so I get there are people that just that have that angst and they want to fight back, but we can't take those same tactics that some of the anti-hunters want to with us. We have to be respectful because again, those people in the middle are watching, and they're watching to see who between the two of us, anti-hunters versus hunters, are the most reasonable. My money is going to be on the most reasonable person every time, and some of our brothers and sisters in this community are not making it any easier for us.
Thanks so much for that. And, that's going to be a good segue into let's talk about hunting. Let's talk about your hunting tradition and why you like to go out in the woods every fall and the rivers. I know you bow fish. You do a lot of, hunting. So let's
Yeah,
talk about that now.
yeah. So like a lot of guys, I think most of us are introduced to the great outdoors by their dad, and um, and so this is a little hard for me. My dad just passed away back in March, 63 years old, and in my mind, we still had a lot of time still left in the field. Um, Pardon me for a moment. Um, it was early mornings, squirrel hunting when I was a kid. Going out to a stand of oak trees in a big pasture, and killing fox squirrels with dad. Catching walleye in the Illinois in the Fox River back in north central Illinois where I grew up. Um, it was time with him, and and for a young boy, you want to be like your dad. You want to emulate him, and I was no different. And so as I grew up, we started bow hunting together, and we'd spend more time fishing. And that was our thing. And I knew that so at some point in the future, the tables would turn, and I would be taking him out and kind of serving as the guide and facilitator for these experiences. And he had diabetes and some other health issues, and so it ended up to where he was in a wheelchair, and so I would take him out as much as I could, and I started doing the outdoor media um, personally. This is before the Thinking Woodsman brand. I started catching video. I started writing things down because it was my way of bringing the field to him when he couldn't get outdoors because of his ailments. I was able to bring some of the stories and artifacts from those experiences back to him, and so all of this ultimately is kind of an homage to my dad and what he did for me, because I can't imagine my life without this passion I have for pursuing fish and game in wild places. So it really is kind of an homage, um, a memorial to him. Everything I do, I try to make sure I do to a level of quality that he would be happy with. And I just found, like all of us, if you have canine teeth and forward facing stereoscopic eyes, you were designed by God, I believe, to be a predator. And if you believe in macro evolution, then you have to believe that over the millennia we have evolved into predatory creatures. So whether you are an atheist, agnostic, or a Christian, which I'm a Christian, unabashedly so, uh, there's no getting around it. We were designed to kill and consume the flesh of other animals. So there's a lot within that. It was kind of a big question. I hope I answered it for you, but that's kind of that's those are my motivations.
So you think about, the hunting tradition and, what your dad passed on to you. Um, must have been a heck of a guy. Uh, and you think about that. Then you think about, okay, what is man? Who is man? Are we grazer or are we farmer?
were all those. But in the end, since time began with stone axes, and you can go all the way back to when the Eskimos came across the land bridge and
Mm-hmm.
and started populating North America, and they killed to eat. There wasn't any
Right.
question because up north there isn't that much. The growing season isn't that long, so whatever was there they killed and they ate it and made tools and made clothing and made shelter, made everything from that which they took. And I remember the Inuit, one elder told me one time, I was up in that country, he says it's really easy. If the caribou come, we live, and if they don't come, we die. It's pretty simple.
Why doesn't PETA go up there and boycott and protest those people?
That they probably would never want to go to that environment. I mean,
No,
it can,
there's no
you know,
Starbucks around.
there's nothing around, and during the summertime, July and August, um, the flies are so bad. There's great trout fishing. Oh,
Sure.
fishing. So I'm catching a fish. I'm going to eat a fish, and then the caribou migrate. I mean, you can see on the eskers and everything up there. You can see, you know, trails that are hundreds of years old. I mean, it just
Mm.
isn't, last. But you can see in them etched in the tundra up there. You just say, "Holy crap! How
Yep.
old are they?"
Yep.
And it's amazing. And that's, when I talk about my hunting tradition, which started, when I was 10 years old, and I think about the places I went, but I bring that story back from that elder because I sit in their little, we're in, not Quonset huts, but tent like Quonset huts, and they
Sure.
own the land. And so we were hunting on their land, blah, blah, blah. But you sit there and you listen, you think and say, he represents thousands of years, not hundreds of years, but literally
Mm-hmm.
thousands of years since they came and populated. And it's amazing, and that's what hunting's done for me. It's taken me places I would never have gone, and then just sit and have a conversation as we are today, and I
Right.
become better for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And those people are way more healthy than most people in our current civilized modern society. Imagine that.
Imagine that, because they kill
Mm.
whales. I mean, they kill seals and they kill caribou and they catch fish and they eat berries, and
Yeah.
pretty organic. I mean, let's throw out the big word organic because everything has to be organic these days. And Sam Ayers at Living Country, in the city, he talks about organic all the time because in LA it's just he's rampant with it. He goes, "Yeah, I eat
Yeah.
organic." "Oh, you do?" "Yeah, and I
Mm-hmm.
kill it first. I kill it."
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you kill it?" "Well, I go kill a deer and then I eat it, and that's pure organic." "Well, how it's organic. It doesn't live in a
Right.
farm. It doesn't go into food line.
Was never caged.
Never caged. Never caged."
Yeah.
So we're digressing a little bit, but let's talk about your hunting experiences, and let's talk about last fall and with a stick and a string. And talk to us about one of your hunts.
Sure. Probably the most memorable. I was hunting with some friends. They own an outfitting business called Devil's Backbone Outfitters down in Dora, Missouri, which is in the heart of the Ozarks. Which is folks that know their whitetail biology know that when whitetail populations were declining across the U.S., they came to the Ozarks to find animals that they could repopulate elsewhere. Same thing with the wild turkey, eastern specifically. But yeah, we went down and actually had a great fall turkey hunt. Ray I had a fall media camp down at Devil's Backbone. Killed a great fall gobbler in Missouri. A lot of people don't realize or don't even focus on the fact that we have a month-long fall turkey season. You can hunt them with a shotgun. Um, a few weeks after that, we were back down there, and I was with my buddy Billy Cooper, who's been in outdoor media for probably 50 years himself. And he was my camera guy. And after a day and a half of hunting, we put down a buck, end up dry scoring 158 and a quarter inches, which I won't say who, but I was talking to a person in outdoor media that everyone would know this individual's name. Uh, I was talking to him the night before I left, and he said, "Tim, don't it's not going to be northern Missouri or Iowa. Don't expect to see any huge deer." And I sent him a picture via text.
Good for you.
After I put that down, he was like, "Wow, I stand corrected." the Ozarks are kind of overlooked, and it was such an awesome hunt, to be there with friends and to do it fair chase, no fences, to be in the scratch. There's video of this hunt up on thethinkingwoodsman.com. If you go to the video page, you can see about a 9-minute hunt. That I watched that deer. I saw him about 100 yards out, and immediately I could see his bases, and I could see he was so thick. And I couldn't tell points, but I knew right away that's a shooter deer. There's no way he's going to walk within me because we were in this gnarly little cedar oak knob. And sure enough, he's pushing does down by us. And some of the does, it was so scrubby, my camera guy and I weren't able to be in the same tree together. We were in trees probably 15, 20 feet apart. And boy, I tell you what, he walked within 10 yards of my tree, stopped, looking forward, looking directly at my tree, and would not turn one way or the other. And all I could see was antlers in the way of his spine.
No.
I was going to try to lace one down right there by his spine. And so I'm at full draw, and Billy's over there. He's got the camera trained on me and then the deer, and he's waiting for something. The standoff probably lasted 4 minutes with him just there at 10 yards, looking around a little bit, and I'm at full draw, and the does are getting a little skittish and spooky behind me, and it's in a place where if this deer moves anywhere, I had no shooting lanes. It's done. He's gone. And I'm at full draw, waiting. And I had my Garmin Verb camera reverse mounted on my bow, so you can see kind of me waiting and the reaction on my face. Well, one of the does runs, and he lifts his head up, and he lifts his left front leg up and turns a little bit, offering me just a little bit of a shot there right next to his spine. And I laced him, hit a lung, liver, and it went all the way through and out his between his legs. The arrow, if you look at the video, you see the fletching, the back, probably eighth of the arrow sticking out right by his spine, next to his spine, just a little bit to the right of it. And I thought, oh no, I didn't get full pass through. So this deer's not going to have a drain hole in it. The blood trail is going to be really hard to find. We got some more video, backed out, called my buddies Chance and Joe that own the outfitting business, and we waited for them. We waited 2 hours, probably the longest 2 hours of my life, and it was dark by the time they got out there. They were all there. It's a working cattle ranch also, so they were all over the place. And the deer went 50 yards. I mean, he piled up in the cedars. He was down. In fact, I'll never forget, Chance's walk. We're all walking through the darkness. We weren't even looking for a blood trail because we didn't think we'd find one. And he's like, Tim, I think I got something for you. And so we all hurried over. And, it was weird because the arrow broke off. About an eighth of the arrow stayed back by the spine. The rest of it broke off and continued like a 2-stage rocket through him and then out between his legs.
Well, did you ever find the front broadhead or anything? The front part of the arrow?
I looked a little bit the next day during daylight and couldn't find anything. But I was shooting the Dirt Nap Gear broadhead. It's a fixed blade broadhead, and it sliced that deer.
Hey, so give a shout out. Bronchitis, here you come.
Yeah.
You're doing real well. Tim's got a little situation coming up, folks. Bronchitis is starting to work through him. So we're going to take a little break, but I'm going to give a shout out to Tom Alderman from Dirt Nap Gear. He makes the DRT, and check it out on the web. Again, Dirt Nap Gear, DNG, and Tom Alderman. And check it out because, as you just heard, it's pretty lethal broadhead.
I'm back.
Good. I just gave a shout out for Dirt Nap.
Yeah, the other cool thing about the Dirt Nap Gear broadhead is that if you destroy one, you just send it back to Tom, and he'll send you a brand new one, no questions asked. So, yeah. I mean, you could buy 3 or 6 broadheads and just keep sending them back and never have to buy new broadheads.
Well, they got to see if they were abused, run over by a truck or something, or slammed in the door. Or...
One of the things I do on my podcast is a segment called Will It Kill It? And I'll take a dirt nap gear broadhead and shoot it at, like this past month was a bowling ball. A few months ago, I shot a Chevy Monte Carlo. I've shot televisions, a fire extinguisher, propane tank, all sorts of a rotating circular saw, just to see what would happen. And the results are usually surprising to me. Normally, I have an idea what I think will happen, and normally I'm just wrong. It's really incredible what those broadheads do.
Good. So there's a shout out for you, Tom. You got two guys that think your product's pretty darn good. When you're thinking about growing and promoting your business, what does that mean to you? We talked about self promotion, and how does that work in this industry? If somebody's listened to this podcast and saying, "Gee, I'd kind of like to do that," what are some of the things you found out about self promotion you want to share with our listeners?
I hate self promotion. I do. I'm not good at it. I don't like it. I should be better at it. Um, I don't like the limelight. I don't like the spotlight. But on the other hand, I'm representing other people, and I'm representing a community, and I'm representing the people, the sponsors that pay to allow me to put this media out there. So in a lot of ways, I have to be active on social media. Um, I definitely get back to people when they contact me. But to me, and you and I talked about this. I wrote an article called "The 5 Things You Need to Do to Stand Out in the Outdoor Industry," and I think the answers to how you run a business like this can be found within that. And the first one was be genuine, be honest. You can't. There are some turds in the outdoor industry, but the ones that I know, but the people that I know of who are successful are just genuinely great people. And the guy that comes to my mind first and foremost is Ray I. Ray has taken me under his wing and introduced me to people, opened doors, and didn't have to. There, a few years ago, I had no following. I had nothing going on other than some ideas, and Ray decided to help me, and I could do nothing for him. He did not he didn't need me, but he chose, because he's just a great guy. He chose to help me out and do some things for me, and so a few years later, we've kind of hit this acceleration point because of that. He is a genuine and honest individual. The other thing is that I try to collaborate with people. I try not to compete. I mean, you and I both have podcasts, and you and I could both easily take the tack of, well, I may have you on, but don't reference your show because I don't want you to draw listeners away from my audience. I think we have to have an abundance mindset. If you have a quality message, if you have quality content, I think that's what people are drawn to. And like my buddy Jeremy at Fit to Hunt, who also, I like what he's doing. I like him personally, and so I'm going to do what I can to help him succeed. And there'll probably be some iterative benefits for me also, but I'm not concerned about that. I would love to see Jeremy succeed and be successful. The other thing I mentioned, getting back to people, following through. I mean, there's a pretty low expectation in our industry for following through. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of lip service, but for people who are willing to get the job done, there's not very many folks that are willing to do that. So you surprise people. And like when at the end of the year, I send my sponsors for the sponsor of the podcast and kind of my whole media outfit, I send them an impression report. Here are how many people saw your logo via YouTube. Here are how many people heard your products via my podcast, or or here are the references I made in writings that I've done, because I feel like I owe them some type of return on their investment. And I want to make sure that I honor that. I also want to make sure that I thank people for what they do for me. I've got some great friends that run companies in the outdoor industry, and they send me product, or they sponsor trips and things like that. That costs real money, and I don't think people fully realize or appreciate the fact that someone is spending real money to allow you to do these incredible things or have this gear. So just say thank you. Be be genuinely appreciative for the opportunity and the things that Matt sent me a bow fishing rig from PSE right to my door. Aside from being one of the coolest things that's happened to me, I want to make sure that PSE knows that I'm using their rig out on the river killing fish, and I sure am, and going to prove it in a DoD TV segment. But just a simple thank you goes a long way. And then finally, I endeavor to do quality work. It's not enough just to be passionate about the outdoors, but you have to communicate in a way that is cogent, that is proofread. As you have an English major for a wife. People don't think highly of a bunch of typos and incorrect grammar. That they think that you don't care, and as a result, think that you don't care about their time because they're taking time to consume whatever media you've put out there, and you need to honor and respect their time in that. So if I write an article for Midwest Outdoors magazine, I'm going to make sure I go through it a number of times, because the other thing is I don't want to make extra work for someone there at the magazine, an editor there. I don't want to make extra work for them because they know, oh crap, here comes something from Tim. We're going to have to spend a lot of time looking at this because he never checks his work. I want people to enjoy getting content from me, and I want it to be a pleasure for people to work with me. And so those are kind of my guiding principles for how I run the business of this outdoor media company called the Thinking Woodsman.
Thanks for that. And folks, the 5 things that Tim just shared, you could apply that any place. Yeah, we're talking about outdoor and outdoor career and outdoor industry, but you can apply that right where you work right now. And I don't care what your job is, but if you did those 5 things, things will they get better? I can't guarantee it. Will you make more money? I can't guarantee it. But you will become a better human being. That's my
Right.
thought on that.
Absolutely. Yep. And we live in a society that seems to be okay with mediocre right now. So the silver lining in that is it doesn't take much to set yourself apart.
Yeah, and that's well, and Rich LaRocco, I wrote, he got me writing for Go Hunt, and he said, Bruce, I'm going to demand clean copy. And
Sure.
I remember some of my earlier articles went to Go Hunt. I mean, I would arduously pull it together because I was just learning my trade and doing all that. And then he'd send, it would be 3 pages on my end, and he'd send me 4 pages of correction, and not just hey, you did this wrong. Okay, you just take the sentence, and here's why you should have written it better. And he invested, in Rich, hearing this, thanks so much, because, he helped me get into the writing end, of the business. And then I got into the podcast. But if I ever chose to write again, Rich Rocco is basically the foundation that I had because he demanded of me, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Yeah, I could write, but I couldn't write as well. There's a heck of a difference.
Right. And it's rare to find someone who not only has high expectations of an individual, but is also willing to leverage high supports for them. Because it would have been one thing for him to say, "This is garbage, do it over, or fix it." But he took a lot of time. You mentioned the word investment. He took a lot of time to sit down and give you a lot of feedback, and it's rare to find people that are willing to do that. Ray I does the same thing for me. Mark Strand at Midwest Outdoors, they both will walk through. Okay, when you're filming a TV segment, here are the different shots you need, and here I saw you do this, Tim. You consider doing this next time, and that's valuable. And not everyone's willing to do that. So you need to thank people that are like that and surround yourself with folks that'll do that for you.
Yeah, I would say from my point of view, that's priceless, and you have a gift that people are willing to invest in, and and
Absolutely.
and that's huge. Hey man, we're at the end of the show here, the end of the segment
Oh
of
no.
White Tip. Yeah, we've almost gone an hour.
Time flies. I know.
Well, yeah, Tim, and thanks so much. The Thinking Woodsman podcast. You can
Bam.
find it.
Nailed it.
Tell tell, tell the folks how to get in touch with you on social media, how to get to your podcast, how to get to your YouTube channel. Let
Sure.
people know how the heck to reach out to you.
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to the website, thethinkingwoodsman.com. And from there, you'll find links to Facebook's, Instagram, Twitter. My YouTube channel is linked up there. That's under Tim KJ or The Thinking Woodsman. Search for that online. The podcast is on iTunes. You can get it for Android, but the hub is thethinkingwoodsman.com. Go there and get subscribed to the show because, as you know, with Whitetail Rendezvous, the best way to get it is to just be subscribed. That way, it just automatically loads up on your device whenever a new episode drops.
Any final words?
Bruce, I have to say thank you for having me on, and I think we'll probably have to return the favor and have you on my show sometime soon.
Well, I'd love to do it, and I'm going to be very interested to see how and where your career grows because you've got it together. You're bringing a lot of thinking. Ergo, your title of it.
You got it. Yes.
But people, going to listen to you if they listen to the show. Well, Bruce, how much hunting did it? Yeah, we had some hunting, but mostly it's thinking about our traditions, our sports, and what we represent when we're out in the field.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a little bit of an intellectual approach to our hunting heritage, which I think makes it a little unique in the outdoor media world.
And with that, on behalf of Whitetail Rendezvous, this is Bruce Hutchin. Have a great day, folks.
Next up is Brandon Labrum, who's on the crew of Scout to Hunt. Scout to Hunt is one of the most advanced scouting platforms on the web today, and it's available right to your smartphone. And what does it do? It helps you zero in on those areas throughout the West that you want to hunt. It's also going to have people on the ground. So you're going to see some trail cameras for Unit 501 in Utah and the type of elk or deer that's hanging around there. Yes, it's going to be that granular, that specific. Scout to Hunt is a new platform out there that I think everybody's going to want to take a look at.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.